What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kuempel of Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. I am very excited. I have John Kerwin. He is the founder of S.E.L.F, Health and Fitness, S.E.L.F. So, John, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and maybe explain to us what all those letters stand for.
Yeah, so basically, the reason why I got started with this is because it's been my passion for a long period of time. I've had, as growing up, you try to figure out where your place is. And the first thing that I realized was that I always wanted to help somebody or help in some sort of way, but I just didn't know where that space would fit in my life. And obviously, I'm also a big nerd, so I basically kind of fell into the trap of following my skill sets through technology for like the longest time. And so now they kind of like literally ran into each other. Like I work in the healthcare industry and I've been always, taking as much due diligence on my own health, taking care of myself. And a lot of people see that and they were actually wanting to work out with me. And it started out where I was just basically like, hey, you know what? I'm all about sharing, caring. Let's actually do this together because it's great motivation. Accountability is like the best form of success when you want to try to get someplace, and helping other people. So it was like immediately I got into this point where I was like, I don't want to be another trainer. I don't want to basically be asking people for money for time because I know that I put a lot more effort into what's outside the gym. Even though the gym is rewarding me physically, I feel more apt to provide an extra added bonus to that. And so it was really hard because, I was telling my partner, I was like, hey, I want to consider going into the fitness industry and, starting possibly building, a brick and mortar site, building a community. But then I started really putting things together and I started seeing like a lot of the patterns with a lot of people. And ultimately what people have been really searching for is not usually conducive to the gym, even though the gym actually makes you feel great, right? Sure, and that's awesome. Sure.
Yeah.
But the fitness industry usually has been frowning upon giving that 80% advice that requires the most discipline, and not to actually put not to put the fitness industry down because I totally respect it. I understand it's a business that way, and it's the sole responsibility of the person doing the work to put in the work in their whole life. Sure. But a lot of people are not educated that way, and sometimes they need that advice. So I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to start doing my own fitness and health package of helping people. And I started out really slow, but it built up momentum because I was getting people results because they were actually coming in a few weeks and actually seeing weight loss because we weren't actually like focusing on specifics, right? We were building habits around that. And I got really excited about it. And obviously, when you put all your attention into something, that expands, right? So I saw some posts of some transformations, which if everybody knows that when you see it before and after, it immediately puts you on defense. You're like, okay, come on. Like, that doesn't most people can't relate to it, right? They'll be like, I don't know how that actually person transforms. Like, Deanna, you're a wonderful bodybuilder, personal trainer. I've seen your post, but I've seen the part that actually makes me believe your story more on a before and after picture is because I've been following your journey.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's like the missing piece. And so I wanted to be a part of somebody's journey because I'm all about building relationships in my life, like social media. I really connect with people. It's actually funny because we live in Chicago. And when I first moved here 23 years ago, being nice was actually like responded to like, why are you doing that? Like, that's not something that's normal, and it's, and I don't know about you, but like for me, I kind of started to like digress in that behavior of just being sharing and caring and motivational to strangers, right? And I've kind of reverted coming back to that. And I've saw so much tremendous support, success from that by connecting with people, right? That's why I love what you do, because you just connect with people. And it's like you connect with people that are influential, that can actually get a lot more information out, that you can reach to people. And that's why I really wanted to connect with you, because I'm all about doing the hard work, right?
Yeah.
And it's underrated, but it's the most beneficial when it comes down to people who actually go through a journey with a coach. You're not hand-holding them. You're not hero coaching them. You're literally helping them learn step by step, and you're there they can lean on to. And I love that feeling. And I've been doing that now for like 2.5 years, and it's pretty awesome.
I love that. And thank you for the compliments, and thank you for being on my podcast today. The S.E.L.F, what does that stand for?
So basically, stands for self-care, right?
Okay.
That is one of the biggest things that people realize they don't take advantage of. I've heard so many people take so much care and to other people. They care about them, but their internal integrity of themselves, they are the worst critic.
Yeah.
You could say something really horrible to me, and it would never be as bad as how I feel about myself if I'm actually in that space.
Sure.
E means for exercise, healthy motion, right? It's important, but it's part of the habits of health for us to actually move forward. And then L is basically lifestyle, right?
There we go.
Lifestyle is, so a lot of people, me and you can actually agree with this. Yeah. You have, in order to change, you can't just change on a specific plan for a few months. I mean, and I think you could probably agree with this, but in the fitness industry, especially in competition, there's been a full focus, granular focus on how to actually like manage going on one type of way of eating to another type of way of eating and recovery. And it seemed to be like somebody said, I'm going to make that a diet, that one part of that a diet, and then basically make it a lifestyle. And it's possible if people have discipline, but it's also really difficult because our body needs everything that we think that we have to avoid, right? And so that's really hard for people to understand. Nobody really gets educated on that. And it's just really cool to actually get exposure to like the fitness industry, the people that actually are doing really well in this area, incorporating health into their programming.
Sure.
And honestly, the way that the direction of fitness going right now, this is the way that we will survive, especially in the fitness industry, because if you don't have a health program, I mean, right now,
I would agree, but what does the F stand for?
The F stands for basically for, fellowship, like community, basically.
Oh, I like that. So self-care, exercise, lifestyle, and fellowship. That's really good. I like that. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to finish that because I want to get more into the deeper aspect of it and like what you're talking about. I'm a big believer in lifestyle. I live it, I when I'm getting ready to compete, I live a very strict lifestyle, very, very strict. But for the most part, I maintain very well, no matter what. I'm big into, eating healthy. I'm big into taking supplements. And if I do take a client on, which, and I did mention this to you, I don't take on a lot because I do have other things. So I limit who I will put that energy into. But I do recommend like supplements if I feel like something would benefit them. So I'm totally with you. But going back to what you were going to start talking about, why it's so important to start doing more of that now these days with everything that we've got going on.
Well, our previous conversation on the phone, which I'm so appreciative, you're like, no, don't tell me now. Just tell me later. I'm not looking, I could say so many negative things about this particular pandemic right now, but it is actually
you and me both. I'm not shy about it.
Good. And, we'll talk about that because I think that's important to know. And it's also really important to know that it's just our opinions, right? It doesn't mean that everybody else has to follow that or get upset by that, because I can't control people. I can only control what I can control. Right. So going back to that, we are been given a lot of time and space, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable with that because that time and space puts them in a self-awareness alert where what the hell am I supposed to do right now? And in some cases it's been a halt, like people have lost their jobs. And thankfully they have a roof under their head, but in some cases they don't. And I hope that we come to the understanding that this was probably blown out of proportion too much based on more fear and pandemic than really the actual virus itself. But what it has done for me, it has given me a lot of time and space to actually realize what is the most important in people's lives right now. And a lot of those categories come to health. And the reason why is because it's been gaslighted all over the media.
Yeah.
But it's been there for a long period of time. And you and me being in fitness and health, you know, we know that the country spends billions of dollars on obesity prevention, medication, and also there's been so many larger amounts of numbers of people dying from that particular area.
Sure.
That's the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And so, so when giving this time and space, it has really been a blessing and also a curse for a lot of people. It's been a blessing. I've been in a fortunate position because this is what I'm made for. Not because I'm expecting pandemic, but
right.
I work with people when they are ready to actually change because it becomes their number one priority. If I was going to actually ask you this question because this is actually really important. When you take on a client, do you focus on their why instead of the how? Like you try to get, and that's something that I'm really focused on when I take on clients as well. I don't take on a lot of clients, you know, just because they're actually an opportunity that comes to my space, because it's not because I don't want to say that I don't want to help everybody.
Sure.
But like a definition of a coach is to lead, but not to actually carry you through that process.
Yeah.
And so it can be hard sometimes because people will actually be like, all of a sudden a button flies off their favorite shirt across the room and they have this action plan. I got to get help, right? But then a lot of the times they don't have that social support system around them because nobody else in their family or their friends and accomplices basically have no support to that because they enjoy themselves and they're not focused on it. So I wanted to create a space that actually creates both the primary emphasis, which is self-care, right? Taking that internal integrity, that feeling that you would say, like, Deanna, if I saw you struggling, right? Mm-hmm. How do I feel about that? I would probably be more likely, because you're close to, you know, me in this example, would be, I would want to do something for you because I don't want to see you struggle. But we don't give that same attention to ourselves, right? So I always tell people, if you're going to feel that way about somebody else, hold on to that feeling and then internalize it.
Yeah.
And be selfish a little bit, you know? So, yeah, and that's been really cool. And then on top of that, because I'm building a community of like-minded people with no judgment, right? Mm-hmm. All shapes and sizes, ages, whatever, because everybody has a different part of their journey that could be beneficial in this health and fitness industry. And it expands in so many other areas, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, you're an entrepreneur, right? So
trying to be.
I think you're doing
I'm more of a volunteer.
But I mean, it's like you wear a lot of hats right now, and it's your new reality. And a lot of people are now getting ready to pivot, right? They can't do what they are doing before. And I give them an opportunity to actually help them in an area that creates a lot of opportunity for them. And ironically, and I also don't like this, but it's so true, but the healthier you are, the better opportunities come to you, because
I would agree.
And I don't even think about personally like looking the aesthetic of like this, you know, vanity style look, but that's usually somewhat of what happens. It's a kind of a reward. But a lot of people that are not in that position, they look at it like, oh, okay, well, you know, it's genetics, or they were born that way, or they don't realize that a lot of people put a lot of work into actually looking that way. And it's it's more discipline than it is anything. And so I started looking at this as this time has given me a lot of thought to actually like really improve my business in terms of the areas to cater to.
Sure.
So a lot of people can easily do healthy motion, and the people think that they have to go into like a high intensity workout to actually lose weight. And it's actually like, just go walk for 30 minutes, right?
More diet than anything.
Yes. And so then when I take that picture and I paint that picture for them that, hey, low intensity. Don't worry about sweat all the time because you're going to overeat or whatever afterwards because your body is not trained for that metabolically. Just go outside, get some vitamin D, right?
Sure.
You know, do something. And then when you do that, you're creating a lifestyle. And let's just say, it was great. I heard a great message from my partner. She's like telling her friends on Zoom, because they're trying to cope with conversating.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, you know what? Let's do yoga in the morning. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you don't do yoga, just get up and actually like be present. It creates you, right? And eventually you will actually have the motivation. It's sometimes you need to crawl through this. So, and then the last part of that is, how does that make it easier for you? Community, right? If you get people that are actually like-minded, you have a lot more time, you have a lot more opportunity to have success. Like, I have a lot of friends in the CrossFit industry, and CrossFit is an awesome exercise and everything, but I love the community that surrounds it. You could actually say it's a cult, but I love that because they are actually focusing on one specific thing, and they're trying to compete against themselves to get better each day. So that's awesome.
I incorporate some CrossFit. I've never actually really gone and worked out at a CrossFit gym, but I do agree with some of their workouts, like strategies. Well, I love it. I mean, I completely agree with everything that you're saying. We are definitely like-minded individuals. You know, what I tell people is like, if you don't take care of you, you will not be able to take care of somebody else. You know what I mean? So like, I really, after losing my husband and watching his health just deteriorate over a couple of years, it's just like, it really instilled in me that I have to make sure that I'm okay because I had to take care of him. So like, it was even more important to me then to focus on my health. And I'm even more passionate about it now. I mean, I've been a trainer for, I don't know, 20 years. I mean, I've been into health and fitness for a long time, but I got even more so watching his health deteriorate. You know, he would not have made it through this. If he would have got COVID-19, he would have been dead for sure. So, I do agree with that. Like, you people do have to be more selfish. I'm probably too selfish, but I'm also very single, and I don't date, I don't have kids, so it doesn't really matter. I am a very generous person, so I am kind and giving, but I do believe that people should be like my younger sister. She's got two. I have a niece and nephew, and she will give until she just like breaks down. And I said, you have to take some you time. I said, so is it going to be copacetic for your life if you're going to constantly like just give so much to the point where you break down? So what if you come to a point where you just break down and you just can't get back up because your body just can't take anymore? You have to make yourself a priority. Because if you don't take care of you, nobody else is going to, and then you won't be able to take care of my niece and nephew or your husband or your house or your job. So, I mean, it becomes like a domino effect. So, I mean, I look at it like, if you're going to be in health, if you're going to like really commit yourself to health and fitness and a new lifestyle, it's like all your pillars have to be lined up. You have to invest into not only your lifestyle, creating a good, healthy lifestyle, your exercise routine, your family, make sure your family's balanced, like yourself, you are balanced, like your work. Like, I really believe that you have to have a balance in all those different pillars in your life to really live a healthy lifestyle, because too much over here is just going to take, like, it's just going to offset you. You don't have the balance, right? Just living that balanced life. We're all aiming for it.
It's so true. I totally agree with you, because part of the reason that I've shifted from just taking on clients, I now do all health assessments, and I don't call them health assessments. I call them dream assessments, because
cool. I like that.
The reality is that I want somebody to actually believe that if I know what you're trying to go for, I'm going to basically focus on those areas, right? And one of those things that I really focus on, and I don't want to touch on it too much, but basically, like, you're totally right. Healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. And people are like, what does healthy finances have to do with that?
Oh, big time.
Guess what? If you're not healthy, you're spending a buttload of money on stuff that's just maintaining you for the hospital just to get more money out of you anyway. And guess what? Like, why would you want to accept that you're pre-diabetic and be offered medication for the rest of your life, and then eventually have diabetes and then be stuck in that situation. Yep. Like you got to shift this. And so what I do with a lot of people is I go through a health assessment where I scale their stress level, right? A scale of 1 to 10. Where's their stress fall in that scale? And then I basically ask, where's that stress fall at, right? Is it falling in, you know, based on how your body is actually operating? Is it based on stress in your mind, or is it based on where you're at? Are you happy with what you're doing in life?
Yeah.
And so it's so funny, because when you give somebody that time and space in this particular situation where it, quite frankly, is being transparent,
right?
Like, and that's somewhat of something that I had to get used to, is I'm asking these people vulnerable questions, but I kind of set the stage that this is a safe space and that you will get something out of this. I never actually try to sell and tell people anything. I don't believe in that philosophy, because ultimately, if you sell too much, you're not actually grabbing continuous value that can actually help with your clients overall, and it won't help your business very much, because if you're selling and you can't get that desired result, your business can't grow, right? So I focus on setting the stage and asking them specific things. And a lot of times that you are, especially in the health and fitness industry, people get wrapped up on scale.
Yeah. I don't even own a scale.
It's pointless. I tell my clients to actually buy a measuring tape, go back into the 60s, use that measuring tape, and especially women like that I have as clients, I receive more positive feedback from people texting me, you know, after a celebration call, because I follow up with them after a week of giving them certain habits. Mm-hmm. And they're so excited when they see that inches around their waist has went down, but the scale didn't. And I'm like, guess what? Your body is literally getting healthy.
Throw the scale out.
Right, exactly. But I mean, for me, it's sometimes beneficial from a scientific way. I mean, scales are not too accurate, but they're getting closer to it. But I'm really important. One of the emphasis on healthy habits is eating and hydration. And hydration has been something that people lack on a ton.
Yeah. I mean, I forget a lot of times.
Yeah.
I forget to drink my water.
Me and you, though, we're probably on the same page. Like, we can go to socialize with people, and 6 beers or 6 drinks in, we've drank almost half of what we could have drank in water during the day, right?
Yeah.
And so I teach people to actually how to change their body to what we ultimately started with, which was a perfect machine. When we were born, you know, we were told that we could nurse, or the mother was told to nurse every 2 to 3 hours to feed you, right? And then we're a perfect machine. You process that food that you were receiving, and then you dispose of the waste. Somehow, as we got older, we started saying, we're not going to eat for like 16 hours during the day, and we're going to try to get all our calories in. And we might be able to get calories in, but we're not getting all our nutrients in.
Right.
And then, or, hey, let's actually just cut out specific things that our body is made of, like carbohydrates, and not use those. But if we're not active, that makes sense. But if we are active, we're not going to have the energy. So there's a lot of things that are all about that. So what I've done is I've just bare bones it. I said, you know what? Every 2 to 3 hours, eat something that's actually nutritionally dense.
Yeah.
I work with a great affiliate that basically has a systematic process that I've learned from, and it just makes sense. When you're low glycemic and you're not actually focusing on too much of the added preservatives and all that stuff, and you focus on getting your vitamins in, but through food, as opposed to trying to take a daily vitamin, which most people do. It's huge, because your energy just stays even all throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I love it because it's actually like everybody's different, right? You know, and you see different metabolisms based on age and slowing down. And then when you start to see it speed up, you see how they are actually feeling and looking like they're de-aging, right? And a lot of that has to do with hydrating, right?
Yeah.
So
it's really great pointers there.
Let me ask you a question. So when being isolated like this, there's been a lot of people that actually have noticed that, especially I feel for you, because you don't have like an inner circle of people, but you have fur babies. I love that. and I have one big fat cat right here in my window. But yeah, and what would you say to people how social distancing has actually affected people's health?
Well, first of all, it's really putting everybody on guard. So I feel like that right there is just an internal stressor, an automatic internal stressor that they don't even realize is stressing them, that they have to like live. So here, I'm gonna just be honest. And anybody's on social media that follows me, that whatever, they know how I feel. I'm very open about it. I am not buying into the garbage. I'm not buying into it. Listen, I respect anybody who wants to do what they're doing. First of all, before this ever happened, I'm not going to be getting in somebody else's space. Like you say, I don't think you should ever get anybody's personal space. Okay. Number one. Number two, I've always been a person, like I said, I'm selfish. I've always been a person, if I feel sick, I'm staying home. I don't care.
Right.
Like, I'm staying home. Yeah, I'm not going to just go to work. I'm going to be a hero and go to work and just be sick at work and get everybody else sick. Nope. I will stay home. If it's like, if I got like a cold, I'm staying home. So the social distancing thing, I think, is putting stressors on people. I am not buying into it. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not doing it because honestly, I really feel that our immune system is like what's the proper term? It's like a computer itself. Like it works on its own. And we have viruses living all over us.
Oh, I know.
We're fighting stuff off on a daily, all day long. So for us to protect ourselves from this virus, you're not really necessarily protecting yourself. And from what I understand from the people that I know that have had it, that have tested positive for, people that are on the front lines, that are dealing with it, the people that are really being affected are people with underlying conditions and elderly people.
Yes, I agree.
And they're also not getting the right care. They're not getting the right care at the hospitals. So the social distancing thing, I think, is putting on a lot of different emotional stress, mental stress, and physical stress. I really think that, and people don't even think they realize it.
Yeah.
I remember I went to the store the one day, and we're gonna wrap this up here because we're getting a little long. We don't want to lose people halfway through the conversation. We can do a part two.
Perfect.
Definitely have to do a part two after this is passed and see how things have developed for you with your.
I appreciate it
and stuff. But I went to the store this was a couple weeks ago, and I'm just walking around, and people looked so freaked out. I felt like I was in zombie land. And listen, when I'm walking around, I'm ready. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Some of these people look like they might just start fighting with you because they're so on edge. Yep. And I'm like, I'm ready, man. I'll throw down. You better not. You don't want to fuck with this girl. Like, no.
I don't want to mess with you.
That would be a bad day because I will flip my shit. Like I am a 2nd degree black belt, and the last time I got into a fight, I did not realize how deadly I was because I kicked their ass. And it was just automatic. I just responded, and I like it. But anyways, so people are walking around like zombies. I'm just like, this is crazy. I had one woman that smiled at me, and I was just like, and we had a little bit of a conversation, which is like normal when you're passing somebody, like just be like humanity, right? There's one kid, he probably had to be in his late 20s. He was super tall. He was overweight, and he just looked lost. I wanted to help the kid. I wanted to see if he needed help. All he had was like 30 bags of potato chips and toilet paper in his cart. Oh, I saw him when I walked into the store, and this is Woodman's. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Woodman's, but it's huge, right? When I walked into the store, I saw him when I walked in, and then all the way on the other side, when I was getting ready to leave, he was like, he still had the same things in his cart, and I saw him again just walking around looking like a zombie. I'm just like, God help us all. Everybody's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, for me, when I talked about how fellowship is actually really important, that doesn't necessarily mean just from, my program. That's one thing that I'm really scared about because, for example, I have a 7-year-old, and she is expressing how this is impacting her based on not being able to socialize with her friendship. And I'll be honest with you, social is, when you go to school, there's partially a belief that your schooling is actually educating you to actually be effective in life. But actually, socialization is what's actually making you be more effective in life. And if we get to a point where after we come out of this, it's going to be a very long time. We're going to have a new reality of people being not wanting to give hugs, not wanting to. It's a crazy situation. And when you start to actually say that there's people that rely on that compassion, you know, that fuel them, that actually make them.
I'm a hugger.
Yeah,
I what you're talking about.
I mean, I asked permission.
I got invited over to a friend's house on Sunday, and there was like 6 of us. So it wasn't it was a big property. We got to go get in the hot tub. We got to like tan. We were drinking. We were just having fun. And I walked in, and I had like my one friend, I worked with him before. We were trainers together actually at Exercise Coach. And I walked in, and his girlfriend or his friend comes out, and she's like, "Oh, Nick's in the back." I'm like, "Oh," and I'm like, are you hugging people? I asked her, I said, I'm a hugger. So like, and she gave me a hug, I was grateful that everybody I met that night was still like functioning on like a normal wavelength. Whereas you're right. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to have PTSD from this whole situation.
Absolutely.
They're going to definitely interact with people a lot differently, which is really sad. It's really sad.
I mean, the only other thing that was actually kind of weird, and I think is very important just from a community standpoint, that the only advice that we've been getting, you know, mostly on the internet was basically like, wash your hands. You know what? It's so funny. That comes from a doctor, but yet the doctor won't actually talk about nutrition, how to actually boost your immune system, how to actually create less inflammation in your body so that you're less prone to get any kind of, you know, virus, flu, like, you know.
Have you heard of, so we're going to wrap this up. We'll have a part 2, but have you heard of transfer factors?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but go ahead.
Okay, so we'll do this. This will be a second show, but I will send you some information on it. So if you have, and it's proven, the company that I work with and my aunt works with, they actually have the FDA come in twice a year. They pay for them to come in to like approve their whole process, approve their supplements. They're the only supplement that's in like the doctor's Bible where it's like approved for them to offer. But it's the problem is it actually will help fix. It'll help. So the one lady had like a thyroid disease, and she took it, and she's better. She no longer has the disease. So I'll send you some more information on this. But why don't you let people know where they can find you and where they can support you, and if they're interested in joining your community.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, I started a business page called Self-Health and Fitness. You can actually find me on Facebook as Jonathan Kerwin. That's usually where I do most of my business because I'm all about personality, connecting with people. But I also have been providing a free community of people that are wanting to actually get more resources, which is called Self-Health Nation. And I post there daily with, you know, recipes, tips, all factors of, you know, my struggles, some of my successes of my clients that freely want to actually celebrate. It's all about just trying to keep you moving forward. And that's really what I want to do.
Great. Well, my battery's starting to run low. So John, thank you so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to having you back as a guest on Label Free Podcast. As always, you guys, this is your host, Deanna Kuempel. To live your best life, you must live label free. Don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and let me know if you'd like to hear anything else or anything else we should talk about. And I will be back with you soon.